goes another 20-year-old.
Holy shit, I hate those guys.
Gotta hate 20-year-olds.
Fuck those guys.
Somebody help these 20-year-olds.
It's time to figure it out, Ricky.
Touch me.
Don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me.
We're gonna start this one off a way like we haven't done before. I'm gonna beatbox, and you're gonna ad-lib an intro.
Okay. Okay. All right.
2, 3, 4.
All right. I like that. Okay. Let me just get the vibe here. Hello and welcome to Too Many Jams. If you got problems, we're your man. Gonna talk about the things that affect 20-year-olds. Talking about the shit, man, I feel pretty bold. We got answers, experts, and friends too. Sometimes we even talk to some Jews, and that's cool. Because we're friends with everybody. Have some guests on. It's... Dude, that was...
I was trying hard not to laugh there.
That was hard work.
That was hard. I'm like, gasping for air right now.
Good. That was a good box, man. But like, I can't freestyle. I'm not even a rapper, dude. I'm not even a rapper.
You always do a pretty good job over.
I can
songs.
freestyle sing.
Freestyle. Okay. So maybe you gotta take a little bit more of like a Drake approach to it. For next time.
For next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're on Too Many Jams. It's a show about all things 20-year-old.
With help from friends, experts, and our own personal experiences, we hope to shed some light on those things that leave our age group lost and confused.
Yeah, and you probably picked up most of that from the beatbox, but in
You
case you didn't, that's what's up. But we've had a lot of guests on. In fact, we've been on a streak with guests, and we're just taking a little breather here. Just you and me, like old times.
Old time's sake. Yeah, we had a good run there.
It's bright and early in the morning. That's why we don't have any true history going. It'll be a little early on a Tuesday to be boozing. We both got things to do later today. And also, Robbie broke a glass this morning, one of the true history glasses, and sliced his hand up.
Yeah.
So we need another one.
We're watching the video. You can see my fingers bandaged.
Double bandage. He sliced in 2 spots. So yeah, a true history. We need another glass. No big deal. But also, Riss and Rye wearing the gear right now. Looking good.
Using a glass, though.
Well, we're using the other one, the unbroken one.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll get into it. What we're going to talk about today is a few things, actually, because we've had a list of things that we want to talk about, but when we have guests, we can't. We're going to get into some, we think about stuff like self-improvement all the time. It's the reason why we have this podcast, or like how to just do things and be a better 20-year-old. And I've had a few revelations recently that I don't know if I've dove into yet. Also heard a few podcasts recently that makes me a believer in UFOs again. And also,
I don't know if I want to. Do you want to dive into that one yet? I kind of want to listen to that episode so I can provide a little additional banter for the back and forth.
Okay, we won't talk about the UFO guy. Well, we'll talk. We can just talk.
We'll talk
get
briefly about
the
it.
listeners to listen to it.
Yeah,
so they can get
and then we'll
fired
dive
up.
into it next.
And then we have some just hot topics. And some shit we wanted to talk about. But on this list here, like, should we just start things off with, I have no idea what some of the stuff is.
Okay, let's start from the top.
What's the semen explosion article?
Okay, I remember this. I don't remember when we talked about this, but I think I was just scrolling through Google News one morning, and I remember the article now. But so this is off of Vice.
Okay.
And the headline is Bull Semen Lab Explosion, a Blow to Farmers. 100 cryogenic cylinders full of bull semen exploded in a fire on Tuesday at Yaram Herd Services in Australia. Australian firefighters were in for a load of trouble.
Is this an Australian news outlet?
No, this is Vice.
Oh, this is Vice. Sorry, I missed that.
This is Vice. After a fire at a cattle services building caused 100 vats. How much is 100 vats?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't visited semen vats recently.
Vats. I mean, last time I was there.
How many vats of semen have you filled up?
Yeah, for 20 years, they've been providing a range of services, including artificial insemination.
That's like
and all this type of stuff. Anyways, The place caught on fire, and so how many
Absolute
vats?
semen exposure.
Yeah, 100 vats. I'm gonna look up what is a vat.
Okay, well, you're
what is the
looking up-
relative?
Well, you're looking up vat size here. Next on the list was Austin Matthews' disorderly conduct charge. Apparently, he was back home in the summer and he's drinking with his boys, and he saw like a security vehicle, like I think it was campus security or just like neighborhood security, and he got in the car with the girl. Sorry, you can tell me how much?
The solid measurement vat of Amsterdam contains 40 cubic feet.
Of semen?
241.57 imperial gallons.
That's a lot of semen. How do they jerk all these cows off?
100 of those.
You know how like they have cows on those jerk off or those nipple machines to make milk?
Yeah.
Do you think they just got the bulls in like a fucking semen mill, just jerking them off?
Do you think they have like fleshlights? Like,
Well,
for
okay,
these.
you know how there's animal activists and they're like, look at all this mistreatment of animals.
Yeah.
No one ever looks at like the positive treatment of animals. So like for every cow that's slaughtered or mistreated, there's a bull getting jerked off at some other factory in Australia. And like, does it then balance out?
Yeah, there's happy endings to.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we might kill chickens, but then there's like dogs and birds that we feed and love and take care of. You know what I mean? Does it balance out? Or like, because like it's only male cows getting jerked off, so it's a little sexist.
Yeah.
No one's jerking off female cows.
Unless
it feels good to get your
sexist.
tits sucked.
Maybe that's where their erotic, or what are they called?
Pleasure centers.
Their pleasure centers are.
Um,
And their titties. But
their titties.
otherwise known as
Titties.
udders.
And the cow titties.
Yeah, that'd be a funny bit comparing a bull insemination center
Yeah.
as comparing it to a like a rub and tug,
Yeah.
like equivalent. You could work that into your stand up bit.
I don't see it, but you might have to help me work that out.
Okay, I
after.
will. It'll
But
come.
there is something naturally funny about jerking bulls off. I'll give you that. Austin Matthews got into a security vehicle. There was a woman security guard on the side,
I read about this.
and she felt extremely intimidated by a mustachioed Austin Matthews. And when she freaked out, he got out of the car and mooned her, boxers on. And it became this whole big story because he got arrested for, I think it was drunk and disorderly or disorderly conduct.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've heard both sides of this argument.
Yeah.
All the male news anchors were like, oh, it's just boys being boys. And like, then all like the female rights people are like, do you know how scary it is when a man gets in your car? And I see both sides. So I'm going to take a third side here.
Yeah.
If you're a security guard,
Yeah.
prepare to be uncomfortable sometimes.
Wait, it was a security guard
Yeah.
car that he opened? Because I heard he went and opened the door to this car and tried to get in.
It wasn't a random car.
And it was a woman
It's like
that
a
was
campus
inside.
security. Or like it was like a neighborhood security. She was on duty.
Oh, it wasn't just like a random woman like
No.
in an Uber or something.
No.
Okay.
Security guard.
Yeah.
Security your vehicle. You can't even keep your vehicle secure.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get both sides. Hey, boys being boys, yeah, I've done way worse than that.
Yeah.
Just being drunk and having fun. I'm not a celebrity, so it never haunts me. And yeah, on the girl's side, yeah, if a guy gets in your car, you're gonna freak out. Austin Matthews, he's not the scariest looking guy, but he does have a mustache. Third opinion, you're a security guard.
Deal with it.
Gender aside, deal with it. Like, fucking shut up. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. You're a security guard. Go security your fucking yard. You know what I mean? Like, get out of my car. Do whatever security you got to do. Secure Austin Matthews and his boys. Call him backup. Tase him. Like, you're a fucking security guard.
Like, as a security guard, you're complaining about getting mooned by a drunk person? Like,
like
wouldn't that
what
be
if
funny?
I was a robber with a gun? Oh, I was like, you know how uncomfortable it is when a man with a gun points it at a woman that's a security guard? It's like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
You're a security guard. What if he had a gun?
Yeah. Would it like way worse? Like, what if like situations way worse arise? Like, what's going to happen to this?
She's going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Hot take. That was a hot take.
Yeah. And then, well, then no one knew about it, which was like the part that sort of blew up in the news as well, because even Dubas like just learned about it through once like the news outlets caught wind of it, right?
Yeah.
And then he had to sort of face the
music.
Face the music, yeah.
Man, imagine being 21, 22 years old and being that famous. All the stuff we were doing.
Fucked up.
Oh. Anyway, that's why we're gonna get famous later in life. It's such a smart move. All you people want to get famous out there, wait till you're like 25, 26.
And then all the bad shit you do just comes to haunt you afterwards.
Yeah. You can at least make it a decent way into your career before you get big enough that it comes back to haunt you.
People start digging through all your social media accounts and.
Okay, next on the list. Okay, so our roommate Kristen, she's been on the podcast, big into the environment, all this stuff. There was a big march recently about just general climate awareness.
It was sparked from that Greta Thunberg speech.
Greta Thunberg and Greta Van Fleet should do a concert together. Call it Greta Van Greta.
That'd be jokes.
Yeah, Greta Van Thunberg. Like fuck, shut up, little kid. But like, also that's dope. But like, shut up a little bit.
Yeah,
I hate listening to kids.
Just whiny millennial.
I know, like fucking. Yeah, I'll listen to Greta when she's 38, because that's what her name implies how old she is. Who names a child Greta? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But she was at this climate march. Okay, Greta Van Fleet started it, and our roommate Kevin, who's such a supporter. And good on him, because Robbie and I were in band practice all day, or else we would have loved to have been there. Oh my God. He went out to support the climate march, and I think he put up it was an Instagram or an Insta story, just being like, hey, like this is where I'm at. And somebody went back through his profile. Yeah. Because he posted it, people see it in the community. And somebody went back through his profile, went deep into pictures, like found him with like plastic or whatever, and was like, faker.
Phony.
That's
so funny. Like a random person?
Liar. Yeah, like
or like one of his friends.
No, like a random person.
That's so jokes. And what, commented on his picture?
Yeah, or like sent him a DM, or I forget what it was, because Kevin's not here. I'd ask him, but I just made a note of it because I thought it was so funny.
That's so funny.
It's like Kristen cares about the environment.
Yeah. And
she, the reason why I, as much as I make jokes about the environmental crisis, she cares, and she sometimes, she'll tell you what to do and whatever, and you're like, okay. But then you realize she cares, and then she goes, I'm sorry. And like, I'm sorry for being shit at the environment. And then we work it out. But like, the way she talks about it is not shaming, or like, she's like, just do anything. She's like, I don't care if you had plastic just fucking like, I went to Starbucks the other day, life hack, by the way. I went to Starbucks, and as I was walking out the door, she's like, where's your reusable mug? And I'm like, listen, you hippie. I was like, I'm going to go get a straw. No, I'm just kidding. I was like, oh, true. All right, I'll take something. And I brought this big mason jar with me.
Yeah.
And I felt weird with it, but you up the counter and you're like, hey, can I get my iced coffee in this?
Yeah.
And I paid for a grande, and they filled me up a liter of iced coffee in this mason jar. So it's a bit of a life hack. But so she'll say like anything helps, and that's a good attitude to have. But all these, like, it's for anyone out there that cares about an issue, don't be like the people that are like, oh, you think you care? I'm going to go back through your Insta feed and call you out and make you feel bad about trying anything, because you've just potentially turned someone off the cause because you feel a little self-righteous. Yeah, like, shut the fuck up.
Seriously. It's and I think that's one of the downsides to the like a lot of these sort of movements, right? Is that people part of the part of the culture are also try to shame people who aren't doing it, right?
Yeah.
And Kristen's good about that in fact that
she shames in private.
She shames, but also it's kind of joking. Plus she wants to educate, and she's aware of this going on as well, so she tries to do it in a more positive mindset.
Yeah, like if you care about, if you want people around you to be vegan or vote a different political party or care about the environment because it matters, it affects everybody, it's so tough to tell people what to do right off the bat, because who the fuck are you? And I think the best way to do it is like she does it. She offers, her business is like going to be offering fun seminars at businesses or chats at schools, being a resource for anyone that has questions. Hey, do I recycle this? And like, obviously we have these questions, and if I want to do a little thing like bring a mason jar to Starbucks, even though I am not very environmentally focused, if I brought that mason jar and some eco person was like investigated the rest of my eco activities and called me out for it, I'd be embarrassed and I would never do it again. So it's so counterproductive. So I just thought that was funny because Kevin is like, also just knowing Kevin, just like such a nice guy, just wanted to be a supporter. Like if he had plastic in the past, it's not because he was like, fuck the environment. He's just like, he would never have that thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he gets called a fucking faker by this eco-Nazi.
Speaking of Kevin, and I think you saw this, but speaking of Kevin and Greta Thunberg, dynamic duo. He was showing us the other day that, so what's his name? Fatboy Slim.
Yeah.
Did you see this?
Yes.
Yeah. Fatboy Slim has this song called "Right Here, Right Now." I'm sure all of you.
Right here, right now,
yeah.
right here. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And one of his shows recently, I guess Greta used those words, you know, in part of her speech. Yeah, you know, she's like, right here, right now. And so Fatboy sampled it and used it at one of his shows and used the speech, and it was fired up. I don't know, it was pretty sick the way he sampled it and put it into the song.
Two things surprising about that. One, Fatboy Slim is still something.
Yeah, still kicking.
Like if you look in this video, he's playing like a big festival, a big show.
Huge. People were loving it.
I know. And two, great on him for still having his finger on the pulse like that, because now Fatboy Slim that's a great marketing, like he's back in it. So good on you, Fatboy. I never looked at him though in the video. Is he fat or is he slim?
No, he's slim.
Huh.
I think.
Interesting. I'd like to Google where that name came from.
I think that'd be a good opener song.
We could put that. We could put that at the end of the video.
Yeah.
All right. If I can find a good version of that. Okay, so that's pretty funny. The next thing, we're buzzing through these topics because I have some like bigger stuff I want to get into on like motivation and stuff like that. So I thought we'd just get these out of the way. But this weekend, let's talk about, well, first of all, how's your Thanksgiving?
It's great. So good.
What makes it a great Thanksgiving?
I caught so many Z's this weekend. It was awesome. I didn't really go out much. Other than like when I went to vote yesterday, went for a little walk.
Yeah,
with
what'd you
my dad.
vote for?
You know,
I won't tell all the listeners what your political party is.
And so yeah, the weekend was good. Golfed a couple times. Just had fantastic meals made by my mother.
What up, Beth?
Leftovers. I think I ate turkey for every meal this weekend.
Nice.
It was great. We had like turkey chili. We had turkey, you know, potatoes, you know, turkey with the gravy, the stuffing, all types. I had turkey sandwiches, like,
dude,
you know, it's just checked all the boxes, nice and relaxing.
Which brings me to my next
Also,
point. Meat kills, and the more you eat meat, the more it's tied to cancer. I saw a documentary this weekend, so that's great, Rob. That's
yep,
no.
exactly. But come back into this week just feeling well rested and, you know,
nice.
Good. Yeah. How about you?
I wasn't kidding. I did watch a documentary this weekend about meat, dude. I had a good Thanksgiving unexpectedly. So a lot of people like catching Z's, and a lot of people, you know, when it's a kind of a chilly weekend, they hang with their family, they like to stay inside, read a book. And believe it or not, I don't really like that. I don't like just sitting in that's why I don't really like going up. We're so great to have a cottage, but if the weather's not nice, I know family time's great, but like, just sitting in a room with your family, sitting in a room with anyone not doing anything. I'm not a big fan of board games or whatever, unless you're getting drunk.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
Stimulate?
I just need a bit more. I'm an activities guy. I'd
Yeah.
rather go out in the rain and like jump in a mud puddle. Like I'm just weird. I need to do something. So I thought this weekend was going to be, because of the weather, a lot of indoor stuff. So I brought up a shitload of work to do, as a freak I am.
Mhm.
But it ended up being dope. The weather kind of cleared up. I golfed twice with my brother-in-law. We didn't do turkey. We did ribs and like all these other
nice.
things because we're a bit turkeyed out. My brother-in-law taught me how to box.
Yeah.
I got
Dope.
the mitts out. Great exercise.
Mhm.
I'm so sore. And believe it or not, it's all the back of my body. None of my bicep, none of the front, my chest, my abs are sore.
Yeah.
Boxing is almost entirely like your back. Weird.
It's good cardio too.
It's wild cardio. Like
Yeah.
it's one thing to just hit the bag at the gym and see how tired you get. It's another when like somebody's like, making you do the combos,
Yeah.
making you do the drills, and it's forcing you to do like more than you want to do. I loved it.
Probably if you're hitting hard too, good stress reliever. Like cardio plus also gets that like
Dude,
anger out, right?
I want
It's
to
like,
do boxing. We talked about this.
Yeah.
I want to do
Yeah.
it so bad. It just it feels good. I
It
felt
feels good, yeah.
amazing. We went for a lake dip, freezing.
Yeah, you're crazy.
So cold. And then all of Monday, God bless, I went dirt biking for an entire day, hit the track. I don't think there's more fun you can fucking have. When you start to nail lines on a dirt bike, like momentum through the corners, you flow over a jump, and it's almost like you're in a trance.
Would you go to CJ's
No, RJ, you're thinking of RJ's.
or RJ's?
I went to Burnt River.
Oh, okay.
Burnt River is by my cottage.
Because I was gonna say Clinton was there this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not like that. I'm not a very good dirt biker.
Oh, is RJ's like for
No, but Clinton and his buddies they're like
yeah
they're X Games
yeah
pros and like they ride like they're good.
yeah
Me, I just got into it. Like I bought my first bike like 4 years ago. I've always
Mhm.
ridden mountain bikes and stuff, but it's very hard. It's one of those things where look at dirt bikes on YouTube
yeah
and it looks easy and fun. It couldn't be harder.
yeah.
It's anyway, best day.
Sick.
But we watched this documentary about meat,
Yeah.
and I listened to a podcast on the way home about sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I have the keys to health
Okay.
from these two things.
Okay. What are they? Break them down into three to 5 points here.
Okay, so I have an awful memory, and I will forget the majority of the stuff. So if you're into what I'm saying, do yourself a favor and get it from the source, because I already forget the name of the sleep doctor that I listened to on Joe Rogan, but I'll pull it up here. Anyway,
Knowing you, I think I can.
you can probably say it better.
I can suss out. What the first point would be. What the overall point would be.
More sleep, eat less meat.
Balance.
Balance, my dude. Yeah, so my mom played this documentary for us, which I watched a while ago. It's called Forks Over Knives on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it's based on this study called the China Study, where this researcher started initially testing on rats and trying to find a link between cancer and meat products, because he had read some report from a China piece of research that had basically mapped cancer based on geography. And he was fascinated that in a place like China, where they have such a vast amount of data because they have so many people, and they were able to map cancer based on geography to the point where statistically it was super concentrated in areas. Like these aren't unnatural phenomenons. Like this region, very known for bowel cancer. This region, very known for lung cancer. And so he got fascinated with this, and he realized through the China study, which is another piece of research that they went back to do, that meat and diet has a massive, massive correlation with cancer. And he tested on mice, where basically he gave some mice 20% meat protein and some mice 5%, and then he measured their cancer development in their cells. And
it doesn't seem like that big of a variable, 15% in meat protein.
yeah, but for fucking, I don't know how mice, what their normal diets are like. If they're like humans, where they are omnivores and or I don't even know what the fucking deal is, but the mice with 20% meat protein, they use casein, which is like the protein when you make a protein shake. It's like, I think it's from dairy. And the mice that were on 20% had significant cancer development.
Yeah.
The mice on 5% animal protein had almost no cancer development. In fact, I think there was no cancer development.
How do they? So wait.
They take biopsies. They take cells out of the liver and the blood and the.
Yeah, this may seem like a stupid question, but like they implant cancer into these.
No, the cancer develops from their diet.
Oh, this is straight. They're not like, giving one of them cancer.
No.
And then feeding them meat.
Yeah.
And then
exactly
seeing their progression.
No,
this just develops
just
naturally.
developed from diet.
Wow.
And again, take that with a grain of salt because this isn't a documentary and they don't tell you everything about I don't know everything about that study, but basically,
Hollywood, am I right?
Yeah. And like, fuck them. But the idea is not only did cancer grow with a meat diet, they started switching the groups. So you'd first be on 20, then on 5%. And not only did they see cancer grow with every group that was on 20, they also saw it decline when they were switched off of the meat.
I'm just curious, how likely are these rats, how likely are they to get cancer?
I don't know, but regardless, they saw cancer develop with a diet and they saw it decrease with a diet, right?
How many would you need in this bulk of rats that you're feeding 20% meat?
They didn't say. They didn't say, but it made him have a theory.
Yeah. And
he went out and he looked at China to prove it. And so he went to all these regions and studied a subsect of each population, and they made sure they used non-city center regions. They used regions that have been living the same way for hundreds of years, had the same types of diets, and they collected diet data and blood samples and all this stuff from all these regions, and they were able to make direct correlations, super statistically significant. Like they had so many variables that they controlled for, and they were able to make like really, really hard connections between meat products, dairy, eggs, and all this, and cancer. And regions that had more plant-based diets, far lower levels of everything, heart disease, cancer, like anything. So diabetes, like all this stuff. And you can find these correlations around the world with everything from like heart disease killing people. It comes from meat-focused diets and all that. So that the other part of the documentary was talking to doctors that, this is apart from the China study, these are doctors that clinically treat people with diet. So these doctors would see patients that are basically like clogged arteries, everything, all this crazy wild stuff, and they would treat them with a whole foods plant-based diet. Yeah. Which means just stuff that grows, natural stuff, potatoes, beans, peppers, tomatoes, spinach. Like just cut the processed stuff out, cut the meat out, and they're not only able to reverse diabetes, reverse heart disease, repair arteries. There's even cases of people beating cancer. And I'm not saying like go out there and do this shit. I'm saying look into it as an option, because this is a documentary. I don't have all the information. Yeah. But it's super compelling.
Interesting.
And yeah, so all this stuff was able to reverse just through whole food diets. And these are people that have had multiple bypass surgeries that are told they won't live out the year, returning to healthy numbers. And they showed them in the study, people that lived 20 years beyond when they switched onto the diet, that were given a year to live. And I just thought it was wild. And that was one part of the weekend. And basically, the thing to take away is it may be a little bit fucking intense on the ship, but the stuff that they said that really reflected with me is like, yeah, just eat real food. Like, yeah. And they said, just don't be meat focused. Like, for me, it's
that goes out to all you keto dieters,
which we'll
out
talk
there.
about in a sec. But like, just if you think about it, don't have meat be the focus of your meals. At this age, obviously we can get away with it, but they're talking about people later in life. I think you'll be a lot better off. But they're basically saying that you can not only stop cancer with that diet, but you can reduce it.
Interesting.
Which I thought was nuts. So I've done that diet before.
Yeah.
I saw that documentary like 2 years ago or whatever, and I did
Yeah.
it when I had my concussions to try to like, I just wanted the body to be in a really good state. And I did feel great. And it was a really easy diet to do. But I've fallen off the wagon. I'm just eating burgers, dude.
You've
And-
always ate burgers.
I know. But like, I thought that was interesting. And then the second thing was I listened to the sleep expert.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Joe Rogan had a sleep expert on, and he talks about how like if diet is one half of the equation for health, sleep is the other half, basically. This guy was super knowledgeable. I forget the episode number, but
I feel like sleep is often or more often overlooked as, half that equation. Everyone's all about diet. No one really talks about sleep that much.
in fact, they brag about how little sleep they get.
Yeah.
And he literally shits on them.
Yeah.
He's like, not only do people that sleep less die sooner, but they have a lower quality of life while they're alive. So he's like, sleep when you're dead is the dumbest thing you could say. And this episode, the reason why this episode is super cool and why I recommend listening to it is they get right into it. Like, it's not like this episode where we talked about some bullshit. Like, I mean, like their episode started right with facts.
No, it's true. And
I'll get his name.
The thing that I liked about it too is that he talks about things that are relevant to us. He talks about, when you're going out, you're drinking, and you don't get sleep for a couple days, or like you're smoking drugs, or all things that are sort of relevant to
Rob does all that stuff. He smokes drugs.
Our age group's lifestyle, and it puts things in perspective for you.
Okay, here I have it here. It's Joe Rogan episode 1109. You can't find that on the podcast store anymore because this is a year ago and they start deleting episodes. So I listened to it on just like, if you just Google it, there's tons of podcast players. I think Joe Rogan's website has them all. But it's episode 1109 and his name is Matthew Walker. Check it out. I listened to it on the car ride home. It's a must listen. Like, he talks about everything. He talks about what the importance of dreams, the importance of the different stages of sleep, how many hours you should get, how you should sleep, what you should do before bed, how diet, fasting, alcohol, weed affects these things, and all their correlations to disease, cancer, physical performance. Like, he gives
sexual performance.
Oh my God, like everything. But it's a must listen. Especially for me, I'm thinking about my family members and some of their sleep habits. And he basically said, like, sleep is the number one correlation with a lot of major diseases like Alzheimer's and driving deaths.
Yeah.
It's the number one killer of people in cars is drowsy driving.
More
than drugs and alcohol combined.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, all the facts that he has. But we won't get too much into it. We'll let you guys listen to it.
You need to fucking listen to it though. Like, change your life.
But check it out. It's cool.
So we were talking about diets this morning. We were sitting at the table. We were also talking about UFOs, which is another wild podcast I listened to recently. But we were talking about diets, and I was saying this plant-based whole foods diet, how it just makes the most sense, right? And keto got brought up, and Robbie basically said, he was like, any diet that gives you the flu for the first 2 weeks you're on it, probably not good for you. And I didn't know that the keto diet, you get sick when you start it.
Yeah, people talk about that. They're like, oh, it's just the keto flu, for the first 2 weeks. First 2 weeks, if you try this diet, people talk about that you get this. I mean, I've never experienced it, so I couldn't really tell you what it's like, but I just hear it's, you don't feel well, and because your body is adjusting to this weird diet of only like meat and cheese with no carbs and stuff, so you get kind of sick, and everyone that's on it is always just like, oh yeah, you feel like if they're trying to sell it to you to be on it or like to give this a try, they're like, yeah, you know, for the first 2 weeks or so, you don't feel that good, you know, it's kind of hard to adjust to, but that's just the keto flu.
You just push through.
That's the tagline. It's like it's just the
It's
keto
just
flu.
a keto flu. It's like it's like when I started vaping, my throat would get sore,
Yeah.
and I would Google it,
Yeah.
and all these vaping sites were like, just push through that. And then you're fine, because they're trying to stop people from quitting smoking, right? So
Yeah.
they're like, just push through that and you're fine. It's the same with keto.
Yeah.
Just push through that and you'll feel totally fine. Your body's not trying to tell you anything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of if there's any healthy thing you do that when you start doing it, you feel worse for a week and then you feel better.
I mean, I guess with, you know, working out
No,
or
you feel
running-
amazing.
Yeah, no, you do feel amazing, but you do have like, oh, like I'm really sore, you know, or if you start running, you know.
Yeah, but sore isn't a flu. Sore is like
Yeah.
a result. It's the result of hard muscular work.
Yeah.
There's no
that's true.
flu we get when you have a good night's sleep. Oh,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, that's my good night's sleep flu. You know what I mean?
Oh, I started sleeping well again, you know.
Yeah,
it's
so
going to take me about a week to adjust though, because I've been feeling real shitty.
Oh, I have an example that might work. When people quit doing bad stuff, they feel bad for a bit before they feel better.
Yeah, like
So
alcoholics and
the keto argument could be that we're on such a bad diet that when we
Yeah.
quit it, we have to go through this flu.
I'd have to research it though, because I don't know if any. I mean, you hear about people committing to it, but you know, do people stay on it for long periods of time, or is
Yeah.
it just like,
Dude, people, their whole thought is that they're reprogramming their body to use a different energy source to burn fat, and that's how they stay so fucking shredded.
And what it's a lot of people that work out, right?
Dude,
like, what are the benefits?
The benefits is fat loss, and they claim less fatigue and better performance, and
Yeah.
you're burning this fat, you're not storing it. And the flu aside, I didn't know about the flu until you told me. Any diet where they tell you to eat fucking bacon, cheeseburgers, eggs, don't eat carbs, just eat trash. Like they're like, oh yeah, get just bacon, cheeseburgers, no bun, throw a stick of butter on there.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's fucked.
I don't really understand it, and maybe I'm just not well informed enough, you know. But
No, I just my gut reaction is that's fucked.
you know, my first inclinations are
But with any diet stuff, like with the whole food plant-based diet, then you'll hear Joe Rogan being like, no, there's and Joe Rogan's talked to every smart person in the world, I think. And he's like, no, like there's a need for meat, high quality meat has stuff that it's really hard to get otherwise. And he holds that position, even though he talks to a bunch of diet experts all the time.
Yeah.
So you really do have to look behind each diet to see who are the people paying for and promoting it, because the traditional American diet
Yeah.
is paid for and promoted by the agricultural system in the States.
Yeah.
So they don't want to change. So obviously they're gonna put out that milk is still good for you and get your eggs and meat, and they're gonna serve that shit in their cafeterias. For this vegan or for this Whole Foods plant-based diet.
Well, let me ask you this as well: is when you try this vegan Whole Foods plant-based diet, which, like you said a couple years ago,
it wasn't vegan. It was just Whole Food
or just like a whole food diet,
veggie focused.
Veggie focused.
Yeah.
Was there any adjustment period?
No.
No. Okay.
I didn't have the fucking vegan flu. No, and the thing is, I'm young. Like, I'm so young, dude.
Yeah.
And like so young. Best shape of my life.
Yeah. Props.
No, I'm just kidding. But I'm young, so I was like, whatever I do now, as long as it's way better than what people our age did historically. Like, as long as if you're 50 and you've had double bypass surgery, you have to go hardcore diet to fix yourself. We can just do a decent job. So my diet was still a lot of calories because I'm skinny and I need to put on weight. And it was just meat was one part of the day, one meal.
Yeah.
It was two meals, but like a half portion per meal. And I really didn't have a lot of meat. But then when I'd go out to dinners at restaurants or a party where there's pizza,
Yeah.
I'm having it.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't have to be like super strict about
No.
it. as long as the majority of the time you're eating great.
Well, I mean, unless it's your full-time job, you can't be super strict about it because otherwise you just wouldn't have a life.
Yeah, but it's not even, I mean, like, it's easier to eat the diet. I'm a lazy guy, like cooking wise.
Yeah.
In the one area I don't like eating, I don't like cooking. I'd take a pill if I could. And eating plant-based whole food diets is way easier. Like, a meal would be, the hardest meal would be bake a potato. And you can do that in the microwave.
Yeah.
I'd bake a sweet potato in the microwave. You'd open a can of beans. You'd cut some veggies. You'd pull salad, tomatoes, toast some like whole grain bread, almond butter. Like, these are all so easy. Really healthy protein shakes. You didn't know. I didn't know cooking. I had some. The little meat I had was like fry up an egg or two. And that takes 5 minutes. It's so easy. Anyway, I went off the wagon because you forget why you're even doing stuff after a while.
It's true.
I'm like, why was I doing this again? I was like, whatever. And you go back to normal, then you kind of remind yourself. But sleep, diet, if you can get just those two documentaries into you and start formulating at least an opinion, like, you don't have to go that way, but start looking to that area for yourself, because you might have ailments you don't even, your anxiety, your lack of, your tiredness during the day and stuff. Start looking at those areas because they are the biggest factors that affect you. Then I'd say exercise after that, and then I'd say the icing on top of everything is like your social relationships, your work, the stuff that fills the gaps. Look into that stuff, but moving on.
What else?
We have the UFO thing, but okay, listen to this podcast. We'll talk about it in a different episode. Pull the podcast up here, but we had a previous episode where I went nuts on UFO shit because I heard this one guy on Joe Rogan, and it ruined my fucking Sunday. I was about to go to the gym and I started putting it on, and I'm like, UFOs are real. I'm like, why am I even working out? I was like, what's the point? I just laid on the couch and I was like, wow, I can't believe UFOs are real. All this time I was like, is religion even real?
So, one of the more recent episodes on Joe Rogan, episode number 1361, he has Commander David Fravor and Jeremy Corbell, who is the producer for the movie that Netflix, or that was released on Netflix, talking about Bob Lazar's interaction with Area 51 and the UFOs there. So one of the guys that, or actually, I don't know, does Bob talk about him?
No. Oh, they might have talked about it in the podcast, but not in the documentary.
Yeah, I think he references him in the podcast as being one of like a pilot that's seen UFO sightings. And anyways, Joe Rogan has him on his podcast, so check that out because we're gonna dive into that a little bit.
After the Bob Lazar episode of Joe Rogan, I was like, this fucking blew my mind. But then I did some research and I was like, this also kind of sounds like a con. Like, Bob Lazar's arguments where there's no evidence to prove what I'm saying because the government deleted it all. That's the proof you need, which is the perfect con man story.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no evidence, and if you can't find any evidence, that's actually proof that I'm telling the truth because they deleted the evidence. And he said he went to Harvard and MIT. There's no records and like all this whack shit I looked into. So
listen to it all.
Yeah. So I listened to them both, but the reason why this guy is the real deal is because this is the first publicly released UFO related or anomalous aerial vehicle related story where not only is there a credible witness, it doesn't get much more credible than the highest trained fighter pilots. There is also video because their planes have these targeting pods that can video stuff. And this is, what's the word, corroborated? Like when the military confirms that this is actual video, this is an actual story.
Yeah.
And the New York Times did an article on it. So it's really the first releases of UFO data that the military is not like, oh, this is nothing. Like, it's just a weather balloon. This is the first time where the New York Times and the military is like, no, like, this could be something.
Check this out.
Anyways,
we'll leave it for you guys though.
But I listened to the whole episode, made me a believer again. fuck my shit up, dude. I gotta stop going up and down on this UFO stuff and just figure out what I believe in. Listen to the episode. We'll do another episode in the future. And shout out Ian Haas for recommending that to me. He sent it over. He's like, you got to dive into this. So yeah, listen to that. We'll talk about it in a future episode, and we'll discuss the implications. If you have any thoughts on it, send it our way. Because what does it mean? You know, what does it all mean?
What does it all mean, Basil?
Okay, forget about alien freaks. Who cares about them? They don't have to be here in their 20s and figure out how to make money. All right?
Yeah, they got all the technology.
They're floating around in orbs.
Tic Tacs.
I don't give a fuck about fuck those guys. We're down here slugging it out.
Yep.
These stupid humans that don't know shit about anything. It's been going. I'll say that. We've been trucking away on all of our things. Season 1 of the podcast, I've said it a million times, was us figuring out what we want to do in life because we didn't even know what we wanted to do. We figured out that what we wanted to do was anything. Anything was possible. Mm-hmm. It worked out for everyone that set a hard goal. And even if they didn't get there, they landed somewhere in a better spot than they would have if they'd just given up on their dreams. So we sat down and we're like, what if we could do anything? If we weren't afraid, if we could pick the dream life, what would we be doing? Without thinking about any of our fears or inhibitions. And we both were like, pretty dope to be a super famous, awesome musician, rock star. And for me, that meant different things than for Rob. For me, it meant, I just like entertaining. I wanted to do big shows. I like acting. I like being in videos, music videos. I love music videos more than anything. I love the product of music. I love putting out an amazing song. I'm obsessed with making a dope song. I'm not as much a musician. I don't sit around and play guitar and get lost in the music. I think of it like a product. Like, how do I make the dopest track? For you, there's a lot of overlap, but I think you're obsessed with music. You play guitar nonstop.
Yeah.
You're obsessed with it. You want to be the best guitarist.
I love it.
Which is wild to me. I don't care about being the best singer. I care about having the best song, Yeah.
I want, I don't know. I'm never good enough in my own books. I want you to brag to people about I got this dope guitarist and I want to be that person.
Great. Oh, so I won't do that until you're unreal. In fact, I'll never do that. So you keep improving. Robbie's such a shit guitarist. Oh my God. Okay, but we made that decision, and season 2, we're like, why don't we document our paths? This is interesting. These are two people that are kind of mid to late 20s. Me doing a massive U-turn. You doing a massive U-turn in terms of our previous training. No jobs, no connections. No, we had nothing going before. Starting from absolute zero. Can you make it as a rock star? One of the hardest career paths. Can you do it? Can two people do it? So we're like, why don't we record our journey? And along the way, we'll still talk to everybody else about their journeys because not everyone wants to be a rock star.
Nope.
But we've been talking to so many other people. We've stopped giving updates on our journey. But it's also because our journey's kind of spread out. It takes a long time to do stuff.
Yeah.
But we are progressing. A little update is we have written 4 new songs that are almost done that we think are just dope. And we recorded 1 live off the floor, full band with Scott Goodwin and our drummer Gabe Lash. Full band live in a room, mic'd up. And it's a banger.
It's dope.
Think of stadium kind of rock. We're so pumped about it. And then we have a pop kind of made in the computer, fun, upbeat banger. And then we have a moody kind of dark and mysterious lyric writing.
Yeah. Like more of an album.
You feel it down
track.
in your plums.
It's good.
And we're working on a blend of all that, kind of like a Post Malone, kind of like
yeah, well,
like moody, but also pop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like acoustic reverb, but also pop.
yeah,
And we're gonna release those over the course. Originally, we're gonna release them all on a second EP.
yeah.
Call it "Tell Your Friends About Us" Part 2, which was our original EP,
Which we still might do.
which we still might do, but that's what we were rushing to do and get it done for the fall. But the more we look at the landscape and the artists and how you, as our friends and listeners, interacted with the EP, it's almost like, why not take the time with each song to do a big thing about it? Because they're each dope
Mm-hmm.
and they mean something different. So it's like, we're thinking, why don't we release them as singles, do a show, a music video potentially for the two best.
I think until you have legitimate diehard fans, like majority of people are quite passive listeners and digest music in single form much more, or like songs will get attention a lot more if you release them as singles.
It's not asking a lot for when you put out a song every 2 months for your friends and stuff to be like, listen to the song. We put a lot of work into it. Come out to a show.
3 minutes of your day.
3 minutes of your day.
All you need.
It's a lot to ask them to then go and like and share and dive into a full album and listen to the other songs and tell their friends about that. What do they owe us? Like they're being helpful, but unless they like it so much that they're compelled to do it, then no. So we're thinking, focus on one song at a time, because we've been researching how to get on the radio, how to get management representation, and I think it's a lot easier with one song at a time. Take the time to make that song dope instead of rushing a bunch of songs and put out a mediocre mix. Not to say that our last album was mediocre, but we could have done better.
Yeah.
Which is fine to say.
I mean, but it's just I think it's always a progression, It's like you get better, and if you listen to any artist, from front to back, it's you can notice a progression. You hear the same thing, right?
So if you're following our journey, we've basically committed to this kind of single song focus every couple months. We play a show every couple months anyway, so we're going to turn these shows into little promotions. We're going to share the shit out of one song, send that one song to radio, send it to blogs, send it to whatever, get our friends to interact with it. A couple months later, do it again with a different song. A couple months later, do it again with a different song. And then at the end of that, we'll release them all in an EP, just packaged together. So they put a nice bow on it. What was the one thing I wanted to talk about? Anyway, we looked at the grand picture and we're like, money. We need fucking money. We applied for grants. We applied for $20,000 in funding. And if we get that, we'll take that money. We'll hunker down. We'll disappear, and we'll write an album of our best shit.
Yeah.
Because it's supported.
It's the game plan.
It's the game plan. And I'm missing something I really fucking wanted to talk about with the whole music journey.
I can't remember
either. Maybe it'll come back to me.
Come back to it. We'll write it down. But I think that's a good, solid episode. Do you got anything else you want? I mean, other than that one little bit.
It's bugging me because it's on the tip of my tongue. Something about what we're doing in music that is about the journey, is about like the kind of the exposure side as well. So the cover video and stuff like that. Our whole thing is, how do you get famous as a musician? Is, you need a great product, but we've heard so many good songs that we know that doesn't make you famous at all. And famous is just the marker for success in our industry. I'm not saying it in a vain way, like we want to be Justin Bieber. I mean, just like that's the mark of success. If you're in banking, you want to be a partner or the CEO. That's the mark of success. So we know like having a good product is one thing. We want to make dope songs just so our friends like it, so that we like it, so that it gets played where we would be. Make a good product, but we realize in order to get successful, and I heard this in the Black Keys podcast as well. I learn a lot from podcasts, is how important social media is. Yeah. And how important getting discovered is not the old-fashioned way, which is just touring and hoping somebody sees you. I think there's a place for that, and you should definitely do some of that. But a lot of work should be spent on growing your social media exposure.
Totally. Because that's what a lot of, if you want the interest from whether it's labels or management, any sort of agencies, they're looking for people that already have a platform or, like a following already, which I mean, i.e. Instagram followers, whatever you're doing in the social media realm of things.
It's just insurance for them.
Yeah.
Because they know you can sell tickets, because that's the only way they make money now.
Mm-hmm.
And the Black Keys also shit on labels and told a lot of horror stories and what to do. That's a different story. But so Robbie and I, not only are we have this plan for our music, but we're like, what's a way that we can get exposure to just us, just get views? And it's so hard to release enough music to rely on music to do that.
Yeah.
So the same with the podcast. We committed to a weekly schedule of the podcast. We then put out YouTube clips and Insta clips of the podcast in hopes that some of them will get more views and get shared, and it's a lot easier, more digestible content to grow our podcast. With music, we decided that covers are a great way to get a lot of strangers to just look at you. Because there's tons of covers online where they have hundreds of thousands of views, and they mix in their own music to their YouTube videos and stuff like that. But it's a great tool, and we can do covers a lot more often. They're fun. People like them. We get better at music production every time we do them. We make a fun little video, and we get exposure. So on top of our music, we last week recreated or tried for fun to make a Post Malone song. And we went into our music software. We did the big reverb, the cool guitar, and we made, like, obviously it's not Post Malone, so I'd call it a shittier version of Post Malone, but a really good cover for us of Post Malone. And then we went downtown Toronto with a few friends, and we filmed this really cool video with a nice car and cool outfits in the Toronto skyline. And then we just have to film a little bit more footage of us at home and how we made it to make it like a cohesive piece. But we're going to do stuff like that more often. Just have fun. Release videos on a consistent schedule. We don't know what that schedule is yet, but just get eyes, exposure, followers, and work on that side as well. And then start reaching out to blogs, people that can, influencers, anyone that can help us get that metric. And I think that's how we're going to skip the line in terms of all these musicians slugging it out, just touring and hoping that luck strikes them. It's like you kind of got to make your own luck. But that was the final piece I wanted to talk about on our journey to becoming fucking those guys, that guy.
I think that's a good way to wrap it up. I got nothing else.
All right.
Let's do it.
I think that was a good episode.
A solid episode.
We talked about a lot of stuff we haven't talked about in a while, and
I'm getting hungry.
I'm starving.
Yep.
Let's eat, dude.
And we'll see you next
Tuesday.
Ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight. Right here, right now is where we draw the line. Right here, right now, 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 right here.